Welcome to Grizz's workshop. This great lummox is Grizz.
Not an expert or an exemplar of safety.
Last week I showed you my workbench. Now I'm going to work on the top and show you my new saw stop. When I originally designed it, I had the idea of putting some dog holes in and making an MFT like table. A bit like this. The cross support shown here would make it difficult placing the holes and reduce the functions. These dog holes make the top very versatile with many options for holding material down and in place. They are also used to make square cuts with track saws. It also means there are lots of accessories out there, some relatively inexpensive to top-end variations. Most spouses think that MFT stands for more f***ing tools rather than multifunction table. After having my bench for a couple of years, I decided I didn't need most of these functions and would almost certainly lose things down the dog holes. I have enough trouble keeping track of things without massive holes in my workbench. The solution I came up with for adding more function to the table was threaded inserts. Surely I can't be the first person to come up with this. Let me know below if you've seen this before. Anyway, I call my approach the evolving function top. As something is needed, I add the inserts. My mitre stroke chop saw is often on the workbench, being used as a temporary workstation. I have two extensions which I also use with it. I normally use clamps to hold them in place. The back of the saw sometimes tips when I extend the saw to its full capacity. This is because it is not being held at the back. I position the saw in place and using a centering hinge drill bit, make a mark on the top. I use a dowel jig to keep the drills square. I have to use 3 drill bits to achieve this. The first one is the 8mm drill bit which goes through the dowel jig, and then I have to widen the hole with a 9mm jig which is the width of the insert, and then finally a 10mm drill bit so it to the top can go flush. I had a bit of super glue to strengthen the MDF and then screw the insert in by hand. I add more inserts for the extensions. This is my new saw stop. Using the existing holes, this is perfect for my pull saw. I made a small bench stop from a scrap of wood and inlaid broken bandsaw blade. back in with the chop saw now to add an extended stop so I can cut longer pieces to the same size every time. I fitted this length of steel L bracket and then realised I'd fitted it the wrong way around, so that the bolts that were holding it down were actually getting in the way of the wood I'd be cutting. So I flipped it round to make sure I had a square cut. Now here's another scrap bit of wood I'll be using as the stop on this extension. I may as well do a quick project now as the saw's set up. I needed some additional display space for my first weekend at a craft store, so I'm going to make a step display. I cut the lengths of half 2x6 sold at my local sawmill. Used pocket holes to make the staggered sides and holes to attach the tops. I added more support as it was a little rickety just with those pocket hole screws. It holds my weight easily, so some small sculptures will not pose a threat to it. Here is the finished display. Here is the very heavily used workbench with a revolving function top. I hope to add this T-track clamping system in the future. The top will need to be resanded and resealed soon. Thanks for watching.
See you next time on Grizz's Workshop.